Good morning, everybody. Welcome to today's Morning Coffee with Mike. Today, we are talking about how to tell when markets turn bad. This question came to us from one of our fans over on Instagram. So, how do you tell when market turns bad? It's a lot easier than you think. The way that the easiest, most simplest way to tell if a market is turning bad is by looking at your system's performance. If you are performing well, then the market environment's good. If your performance starts to take a drop, then the market environment's bad. Now, this presumes that you have a system, that you've got a plan, that you actually know what you're doing. And I think that this is a big reason why a lot of people uh, that call themselves traders start to struggle. And the reason why is because they don't have a plan, and you don't really know how to assess if the market is good or bad, and you don't know if your system is performing right. So can you tell if your system is performing well, or how can you even get a system? Right? That's the next question. How can we get a system? There's really the best way to go and get a system is to start to model success, and then to dissect what was successful. That's what worked for me. That's what's worked for so many other people that have come before me. If you go through any of the Market Wizards book series, if you read William O'Neill, if you read Mark Minervini, if you read my new book, The Trading Mind Wheel, you'll see that modeling success is the key to all this. Great. So uh, how do you model the right person, right? Because there's so much out there, and there's so much noise, right? Like another question that came to me on Instagram was, well, what about the news? Well, what about the news cycle? Well, I'll tell you this about monitoring markets and news cycles, and good and bad. There's lots of ways to skin the proverbial cat. You don't necessarily have to watch the news, or be glued to a TV set, or social media, or sign up for anybody's newsletter, or gurus, or any of that stuff, right? Like a big part of the reason why I'm here, and I wrote this book, is so that way you could have a roadmap and a blueprint to not have to listen to anybody, not to me, not to anybody else. You just need to know where to start. Great. So here is a high level overview of what worked for me when I was trading part time, right? And so I want to give you what worked for me part time, because that way you could go off and do this yourself. Great. So what do you do? There's a few things, and none of it involves watching the news or listening to anybody else. First thing, monitoring the major indexes. That's part of it. So, what are the major indexes? I'm talking about the S&P 500, the Nasdaq, the New York Stock Exchange, the Russell 2000, the Dow. Monitoring those five indexes and seeing which way are they moving. Are they moving up, down, sideways, across all time frames? Uh, I'm talking about the monthly time frames, the weekly time frames, the daily time frames, seeing which way they're moving. And this part is predicated on the idea that this is, if you think of it like the ocean, right? You think of it like the ocean, and you start to think about the major indexes and the different time frames as boats on the ocean, right? Well, if the longer term time frame is a cruise ship, and the weekly time frame is a yacht, and the daily time frame is a speedboat, each one of them are going to be able to maneuver and make their own waves, but it's going to take a much longer time for the monthlies to start to change direction, and the weeklies will be able to do it a little bit faster, and the dailies will be able to do it very quickly. So we want to monitor all three, because each one will impact the other. Okay, with me so far? Good. So, you have the different indexes, you have the different time frames that you're monitoring. Next, you want to start to look underneath the hood and see, well, what's driving some of these things? Well, what's driving some of the movement? What is driving my system and my system's performance? So, well, what I would do is I would run a series of screens every single week, the same screens religiously, and cultivate what I call a universe list, stocks that pass my criteria. And by just looking at this universe list, it's starting to give me insights onto how this select group of stocks is performing, for better or worse. If they're starting to run, great. If there's certain groups within that universe that are running, even better. If there's certain groups that are consolidating, if the whole thing is falling off a cliff, all of that is giving me key insights into how the market is performing. So I'll monitor that universe list, and that'll give me insights into how my system is performing within the broader scope of the market. Great. Then there's another component too. There's my personal performance. How's my personal performance in the market right now? How am I trading? And that's going to tell me a lot about the market environment too. And the reason why is because if I'm following a system and I'm following a strict set of rules, and I'm saying that okay, if uh, I'm just going to take the best trades as they come, and I have a clear definition of what makes the quote unquote best trades, and I take those trades, and those trades start performing well, then that's telling me that this is a good environment for me to be in. If I take the A plus trades and they crap the bed, then guess what? Then it's not a good time for me to be involved in the market and I need to be scaling down. So that's how it, the market itself can really tell us a lot about, is it a good market or is it a bad market? We need to be involved and we need to have rules to guide us on how involved to be. That's where a lot of the skills that I talk about in the trading mind wheel come into play. And it's great for beginners because if you're just starting out and you're trying to figure out how do I get involved? Well, what's a good market? What's a bad market? Well, what type of analysis do I need to do? I go through everything that I do in great detail in the book, but I also share why I do what I do, how I came to the beliefs that I come to, where they've come from, how they've, uh, who I've modeled along the way, and the results that the clients have had along the way too. So all of that is in the Trading Mind Wheel, which is available right now on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, and everywhere else. I said a mouthful. Let's see what questions came in. So Manuel joined in. Manuel and I had a great live stream yesterday. If you haven't seen that, go check it out. It's on his IG page. Let's see. Coming from CJ, yeah, he's not lying, guys. All those different time frames gives a different result. Yeah. So when here's another thing about different time frames. When they're moving together, that's going to produce the strongest move, right? Like, go back to that boat example. You've got the cruise ship, you've got the yacht, and you have the speedboat all moving in the same direction, right? So you're going to have waves and ripple effects all going in the same direction, and it's going to be nice and smooth, and that's going to be able to produce strong waves in the ocean. It'll be able to produce strong trends in trades. Now, what happens when the monthly starts to turn and then it's crossing in front of the weekly and then the daily's getting thrown off? You're going to get very a lot of choppiness in there, right? That's what happens in the market. That's what's happening right now, or has been happening for the past year and a half, right? Like, we've been in this bear market and we're finally, maybe we're starting to come out of it. Maybe we're not there. It's yet to be determined. The Dow, the Russell 2000, is still below the 200-day moving average, the Russell. Um, the Nasdaq is above the 50-day moving average. The S&P is above the 50-day moving average. So you're starting to get this bifurcation of the market where you have one index that's still negative, you have another one that's positive. So that's where some of this choppiness could start to come into play. And if we start to take a look at the stocks that we're actually interested in, and if those are performing, then that's going to give us real key insights into the actions that we should take. Personally, I'm long a few different stocks right now. I have 3 positions on. Let me see if another one triggered. Yeah, Axon triggered this morning as well. So I've got 4 positions on. The 4 positions that I have on are, I'll tell you, the tickers are IAS, ELF, Hubs, HUBS, and Axon, AXON. Yeah, so far, so good on each of them. Let's see, what other questions do we have here? Scrolling through Instagram. Yeah, I've got Twitter and I've got YouTube up as well. So if you guys watching over on Twitter and YouTube have questions, please don't be shy. Type them into the chat. And let's see what other questions are coming in from Instagram. You guys over on Instagram, you guys aren't shy. Can you help me with a chat? Yeah, just type your question in. If you have questions over here on IG, just type them into the chat, or there's a little question bubble. Just pop it right in. Question: why is everyone fearful? Well, the reason why uh, people tend to be fearful in trading, uh, most of the time it's rational. A lot of times fear is rational. The fear gets demonized, but a lot of times there's very good reason to be fearful in the market, and a lot of that fear comes from not being prepared well enough, right? Like so, one of the things that Manuel and I were talking about yesterday was about fear, and if let's say you picked up a book and you read a book on how to do surgery and you read the book cover to cover, and maybe you watched a YouTube video on how to do surgery. So then tomorrow you're going to go walk into the OR and you're going to perform this surgery. Do you think that you feel a little bit of fear? Do you think you'd be nervous? Well, even if you are not nervous, I'm sure that patient is going to be nervous because you don't have the right experience for this activity. But when it comes to trading, people are the sure, I'll just open up an account, I'll fund the account, and hell, I saw this person on Instagram or wherever talk about this trade. Let me go put it on and try to make a bunch of money. Yeah, that's a big part of why you're fearful, because you're a rational person and you know that you're not fully prepared. That there's a lot of unanswered questions, and that's where a lot of the fear comes from. There's loads of other potential reasons why we might be fearful, but those are some of the primary ones. I go into a lot of that in the Trading Mind Wheel, so make sure that you go grab a copy of the Trading Mind Wheel. It's on Amazon, Barnes and Noble. Go to tradingmindwheel.com right now. You can find out more information about the book. And not only that, we're having a free virtual conference next week on Tuesday. Loads of speakers, full day conference. Just register for it. It's on tradingmindwheel.com. Let's see. What else do we have here? Oh, yeah. Let me type into the chat tradingmindwheel.com. Mindwheel.com. Yeah, Manny showed me this trick yesterday. Yeah, so I can, what do? Yeah, pin comment. There you go. Now everybody can see tradingmindwheel.com. Yeah, that's where you should go to grab a copy of the book. How to improve your psychology? That's a great question. So, to improve your psychology, there's a bunch of ways to improve your psychology. I'll give you a couple here. First is going to be to question your beliefs, right? Well, we've got beliefs about literally everything. From the moment we're born, we start to acquire beliefs about all the different things around us. Well, we start to acquire beliefs about our parents and about the world, literally everything. Um, when it comes to trading, we want to start to think about the different categories of beliefs that are going to help us get to where we want to go in trading. So think about your beliefs about trading. Think about your beliefs about money, and think about the beliefs that you have about yourself. Um, well, about trading, maybe you've read some books, maybe you've watched some videos, maybe you have a neighbor that's told you about trading. Some things you believe, some things you don't believe, but take some time, write out everything that you believe about trading. Yeah, maybe some examples might be trading is a great way to make money. Trading is a great way for it to have freedom of time. Maybe you have a belief that says, you know what, trading is pretty risky. Maybe you have other beliefs too, like more specific beliefs. An example of a specific belief might be that I believe that if the 50-day moving average crosses above the 200-day moving average and both of them are in an uptrend, then that's going to be the optimal time for me to get involved in the market. Maybe that's a belief, right? Like all different beliefs like that, write them all down. As many beliefs as you could think of about trading, write all of them down. Then what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to figure out, well, where did these beliefs come from? Right? Did I get this belief from a book? Did I come up with it on my own? Uh, did I pay a bunch of money for this belief? Right? Maybe I took somebody's $10,000 course, and that's where I got this belief from. Great. So now that you figured out where your beliefs are coming from, then you could start to ask the question, well, is this belief helping me to get to where I want to go? And is this belief helping me, or in what ways is this belief serving me? How did it serve me in the past? How is it serving me now? If the belief is not serving you right now in a positive way, can you let the belief go? If the answer is yes, great, put it aside. If the answer is no, then you're going to want to figure out, well, why am I having trouble letting go of this belief? Maybe it's because there's sunk costs in that belief, right? You spent 10 grand on this course, you found out that it's a bunch of BS. Maybe you got a belief from a parent or from your faith, and it's contrary to what's going to get you to your goal, right? Like maybe you have a belief that says that money is evil, and well, if you're going to be good at trading, that you're going to get money. So if money is evil and you're learning something that's going to help you acquire more of it, then that's something that can lead to self-sabotage. Often something like that is buried deep in our subconscious. But if we're able to do an exercise like this where we're getting all this stuff out, it makes it a lot easier to objectively take a look at our beliefs and see, well, this is clearly leading me closer to where I want to go. This is leading me further away from where I want to go. That's that's one group of exercises that you could do. Another thing has a lot to do with your environment to improve your psychology. The question was how to improve psychology. Your environment matters a lot. So earlier we mentioned that we're getting beliefs from everywhere. So it's not our environment is not just the four walls around us, it's the people around us, it's what we're watching, what we're reading, what we're listening to. So what this live stream right now, this is part of your environment. How are you curating your environment? What are you watching? What are you reading? What are you listening to? What can you remove that is not serving you? What can you add that will serve you better? Your environment matters. Those are a few of the key things to start to improve your psychology. They say that, yeah, the average of the five people that are closest to you, there's a lot of truth in that. So who can you add to your environment? See what other questions came in. More of a comment, but I'll read it from Deruve. I'm too fearful to give a stop loss because of past learning loss. So when it comes to placing stop losses, uh, the beliefs that we have about them will have an effect on us, right? So Dhruv just commented that he has a belief that says that stop losses are bad because uh, he's getting stopped out, right? Like, he's too fearful to give a stop loss because of the past losses that he's had. The way that I start to think about stop losses to think about, what's their purpose, right? Rather than just spouting off, well, I use it for such and such reason. The best thing that we could do when it comes to any of our beliefs is to start to question them, right? There's another famous saying that says that questions are the answer. So let's question our beliefs. So about stop losses, what are they for? Well, why do people use a stop loss? Uh, Common answer, and the how I look at stop losses is that they're kinda like a seatbelt, right? It's, or an insurance policy, and the insurance is against having a major loss, right? So we could have, a loss of this much if we lose, or we can have a loss of this much if we lose. The stop loss is there to keep our losses small. Great, so what happens if we keep on getting stopped out all the time? Is that the stop loss's fault, or is it where we're placing the stop loss? I like to live in a world where I believe that I'm responsible for pretty much everything, right? At least when it comes to trading, we're completely responsible for our wins or losses, everything that happens to us in the market. So if I'm constantly being stopped out of trades, then what can I do to prevent that? And how can I prevent it in such a way that it will cause me my equity curve to rise over time? Hmm. Well, few different things come to mind, and this is what I do, and this is what works. Uh, for me, I look for confluences around my where I'm going to place a stop loss. Well, what's a confluence? It's like different layers of things around the stop. So think of it like this: if you were building a floor, right? You're going to build a floor. You're going to walk on this floor. If the floor is made out of concrete, then it's nice and sturdy. You could walk on it. You're comfortable. If if the floor is made out of soggy cardboard, hey, you're not gonna want to walk on that, right? Like you're just gonna fall right through. Well, the more confluences we have, the more it's going to be like concrete. So, what are some confluences that we could get for a stop loss? A few of them are having multiple time frames all line up at the same place. Uh, a few that I like to look at are having some moving averages around the stop loss. For me, particularly, I want at least the 10 EMA on the daily. If the 21 EMA is there, that's even better. Some other ones, I'll look at Fibonacci retracement levels for as a confluence. Um, I'll look at anchored VWAP as a confluence too. And you maybe you're familiar with some of these terms, maybe you're not, but the main idea is to have several confluences around where you're going to place a stop loss. So that way, if it does break, then it's telling you that something is fundamentally wrong with the trade, and it's a good spot to get out. Great, then that's one way to figure out, well, this is a good place for a stop. Now, there's another part to this. You could start to think about, well, I want to enter this trade, but the place that Mike just spoke about, the stop loss is 20% away. I don't want to risk that much. Great, then you know what? That's a trade that you don't take. You could allow your where you that level for your stop. Um, that could be part of the entry criteria for your trade. So here's what I mean. You could have part of your entry criteria be that I only want to take trades where I can risk 5% and have a solid place for my stop. That's going to eliminate 90% of the trades for you, and it's something that's going to force you into taking more high quality trades. That's a great thing. We want to be trading less. We only want to be trading the trades that are the best of the best. So if you could get into more high quality trades where you're risking just a little bit to make potentially a lot, that's what you want to be doing. So allowing the stop placement to be part of the criteria. Um, it's some call it trading near the danger zone, where you're placing your stop. You want to just get in just above that level, so that way, if you're wrong, you're going to know right away. That's a few things for stop losses, some beliefs around stop losses, and some ways to set them up better. Let's see. Any other questions before we hop off? This is supposed to be a 15-minute show, and well, we're coming on half an hour. Question about the news. How many impactful news there are in a month? There could be an infinite amount of impactful news in the month. And that's one of the reasons why, if you were watching earlier too, well, when I'm trying to figure out if a market is good or bad, the news is a non-factor. So I'm not listening to the news and trying to decide like, oh, that's a good thing, oh, that's a bad thing. I'm watching the market because there's people that are trading a lot bigger than I am, that have scores of analysts that are a lot smarter than I am, that are making decisions based on the news and projections and all these other kinds of things. I'm able to sit here and watch what they're doing. And I'm able to understand what they're doing based off of the movement of the market, the actual price action, the volume, and those kinds of things. So in watching that, I can ride their coattails. I can get in when the action is providing those very tight reward to risk areas, and then ride those trends if they're going to continue, and if they're not, if it's going to be a false breakout, then I could get out immediately and have a very small, like 1-2% risk, and that's it. And that's how I can not worry about something like the news cycle and not be triggered constantly, and be able to do something like this part-time for years. And now, even though I left the corporate world behind, I'm doing this full-time now. I'm still trading in a fairly similar way than to when I was trading part-time. The only difference is now I'm coaching more. I'm able to be a bit more detailed and do instructional videos and all this kind of stuff. But the core basis is the same. And that's why I wrote this book, so that way I could help show you guys exactly what I do, how I do it, why, but to give you the mindsets and the beliefs around it, so that way you could craft it and customize it for yourself. Because it's the crafting and customizing that really takes all this, solidifies it, and gives you the mastery that you need. So anyhow, it's about 10 o'clock here in New York. I've got to hop off. It's been great chatting with you. Go get yourself a copy of the Trading Mind Wheel. I posted the link down below, tradingmindwheel.com. It's available everywhere. And join us on Tuesday for a free virtual conference, full day virtual conference, loads of great speakers, loads of great topics. Go check all that out, tradingmindwheel.com. And I'll see you here next week. Take care. Much love. Peace out, everybody.